We are back on Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio, News Talk, 1180, 1230 KGEO, and 1410 KERI. And now in KKIM in New Mexico, our guest by phone, Brian Johnston, old friend of the program, the regional director for the Right to Life League and National Right to Life, and also the man involved behind Life Fest. So, Brian, before we talk about Life Fest, question I had for you is, basically, how does this election we just had affect the pro-life issue?
Well, Marty, there's a couple of things. I'll focus on California, but obviously this election has great implications for the nation. We just got done talking about the re-election of President Obama and the cementing of Obamacare, and that has incredible implications. Here in California, the election's not over. As we record this now, we're recording now on the 14th, and I think it's the 14th. But Dan Lungan's race, one of the closest races in the nation, they're still counting votes. When all is said and done, he's in Congress from here in Sacramento. But when all is said and done, we'll still retain a majority in the House of Representatives. We still have a majority there. This is critically important.
Yes.
That majority stands strong. If just quickly on this one, if you look historically, people who really have studied the economics of what happened in the Great Depression is that, in fact, it was the massive government spending under FDR that actually continued the Depression. If you really talk to someone who understands economics, sadly, after the war, and even the war, a lot of people, the shorthand was after the war we came out of the Depression. But the reality is that after the war, we were going to see Harry Truman continue those policies of massive government, federal government involvement. But it was only a federal change because the Republicans had won the House. And they prevented Harry Truman from continuing this government control of everything. That's what allowed America to come back economically in the 50s, is that the Republicans stood strong and said, look, we've had enough of Soviet centralization of how government works. We're not going that path. In fact, we've got a lot of differences with the Soviet Union, and that was known as the Cold War. It was the Republicans, in one sense, that saved the Republic. And I would ask historians to go back and look at that, but that's what happened. So our Republicans in Congress now need to stand strong. It's very important on every issue, but particularly on life. And so that's where we're at right now. In the state assembly, we've lost quite a few votes. We went from 28 pro-life votes down to 23. The Republican Party is minority, has been for a long time, but now also in the Senate. We went from 15 seats down to 12. And that means that the Democrat Party has an absolute supermajority in California. They can do whatever they want. Now, again, people who have been following this realize that has been going on to a large degree. The Republican Party on life and really any issue dealing with the nature of government, the Republican Party has been silent. And that has to also do with the media. We're going to see the implications of this. People have to wake up. Hopefully when people see this is where this ideology goes, when they see the layoffs, when they see particularly California, people are leaving California now. Businesses are leaving California at an incredible rate. And when people connect those dots, and really it's a linear relationship. There's not a lot of dots to connect. But the fact is that it's only when people wake up that this will change. In the meantime, I think, to be honest, Marty and Clay, our biggest challenge in the election has been the media. Why is it that these people think it's a good idea? Why is it that people actually believe the government should do everything? The government is actually helping us by mandating abortion, by in California and now in the federal government giving away free abortions. Why are people thinking that way? And it's because of the media.
And I wondered the same things. Why?
Yeah, and it's propagandized. We live in a culture now where the moving image, particularly the television, but also movies and radio too, except for good programs like yours and a handful of other talk radio shows, the entire media is controlled by an ideology. Now, we have a decision to make, those of us who recognize that. Either we can curse the darkness or we can light a candle. And, of course, that's what you've done there. And it's important that we continue to do this, and that's what we're doing through Life Fest. Life Fest Film Festival is located in California, literally in Hollywood. We have in Hollywood every year. Our third annual Life Fest is coming up in May of 2013.
Brian, that was a great segue. I love how you did that. Very, very well done.
Oh, well, well, thanks. And it's really important that we recognize. I really want folks to understand our purposes here. There are people who see what's going on in Hollywood, in the business, and not just the stars. We always associate Hollywood as the stars. In order for any film, any project to get done, there's lots of people at many different levels. It's a collaboration. So, yes, there's producers and directors. There's doctors and lawyers and Indian chiefs, as they say. A lot of people. Gaffers and lots of people who make up that team when you make a film. And so these are important people, and it's not just the people you see on the screen. Well, there's a lot of people in Hollywood that think the way we think, that are tired of that culture, but they're a little nervous talking about it because it's so oppressive. You know it's oppressive when you turn on the television. It's oppressive down there. What Life Fest does is two things. It gives a place of encouragement that you can make good films that affirm the value and dignity of individual human lives.
Well,
that's the purpose.
Now, last year, Brian, at Life Fest, there was a film by, was it Martin Sheehan, right? That was a pro-life film.
Oh, that was one of the films. That's right,
yeah.
And that's a good point. Martin Sheen and his son Emilio Estevez, actually wrote and directed a film called The Way. Are you still there? I got a little.
Yep, we're still here. Still here.
That was significant, and we really wanted to encourage that because not many people may know this, but Martin Sheen, who is a real lefty on a lot of things, is actually pro-life and has been outspoken about euthanasia, Clay, and also about abortion, and that's amazing to us, and we want to affirm that. We want, rather than say, well, he's so far left on the other things, I hate Martin Sheen, blah, blah, blah. No. We want to affirm that which is good. And that film actually does that. It actually has not only reference to the value of every individual life, but specifically has a B story about abortion that's laid in the story. It's a very intriguing film. So that was up for Best Film last year, and we did his brother, Joe Estevez, accepted the award on behalf of Martin and of his nephew. It was a great gathering, but the film that won was October Baby, and if anyone hasn't seen that, it's a great, great film. Very life-affirming, a wonderful film, still making the rounds. And I encourage people to see October Baby. But here's the thing, there was literally 400 submissions from around the world. There are people making films that affirm the message we know is valuable. Every life has value. That every life is unique. That's an incredible message. In fact, it used to be the message of Hollywood. If you think about Wonderful Life or Mr. Smith Goes to Washington or any great film, I'm going to go so far as to say Star Wars. What Star Wars does, and this is the track, anybody who studies film writing, historically, what a good story does is it follows an individual, usually insignificant individual, seemingly insignificant. And yet that person, because of the decisions they make and the challenges they face, they overcome, and they actually end up impacting the world of that story. And that's so whether it's Luke Skywalker that did that, or whoever you might think it might be, but that's really what a good story did in classic Hollywood. It says, look, every life has value. You identify with this seemingly insignificant, unimportant person, yet that person is of inestimable wealth and value. That's Hollywood's old message. We want to bring that back. We want to affirm that. That's what made America great. That's the basis of our culture. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that we're all unique. Every human life is unique, not just royalty. And that's why we don't have royalty here in our nation anymore. It wasn't just the king that can grant rights, or only people who are royal have value. Every human life has value. That's the predicate our nation was built on.
You know, Brian, one of the things you commented on was talk radio and being the candle.
Yes.
Over the next 4 years, I'm afraid you're going to see the candle of talk radio be blown out.
Well, I hope not. I really hope not, Clay. I think that the tenacity of our movement, the tenacity, I know that that I sent Marty our email blast. If folks want to know what's going on in California, they should subscribe to California Pro-Life's email blast. It follows politics, obviously, and culture when it comes to life. And I couldn't help but think of Winston Churchill. A lot of folks know his great quotes. The one I invoked at that time was, when you're going through hell, keep going. And that's what we got to do. It's going to be tough.
You know, the great thing is, that's how I was going to end the show, Brian, and you did it for me. I appreciate it.
Never quit.
Thank you, my friend.
Always a pleasure. Hey, you guys are great. Keep at it.
Thanks.
Don't be discouraged.
We'll see you in 167 hours on Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio News Talk 1180.